In this episode of Moose Van Season 2, we're installing the Nomadic Innovations A2 awning. It is the motorized and legless awning that has two LED lights built into it. Creating content and DIY van building are two completely different worlds. What you see on video is rarely everything that goes into even the simplest of installations or tasks. And don't worry, I'm not going to do that in this video either, but I will do a brief version of that. So I'm going to take you through all the steps from 0 to 1 or inception to completion of this very simple awning installation. And if you're just here to see the installation process itself, that's fine. There are chapters, so just find the chapter that interests you most and skip right to that. For everyone else, I'm going to take you through the entire process that started 4.5 months ago. All right, let's get started. So what are the requirements for the awning? Well, first of all, we want it to be a side mount. We want it to mount on this side of the van, right above the sliding door. We can't do a roof mount option because first, we have no roof rack to attach it to. And secondly, our solar panels are affixed directly to the roof of the van with Velcro. That's in a different video in case you want to check it out. But they go right to the edge, so there's no real estate up there to put any type of mounting brackets or a rack or anything like that. So side mount, number one. Number two, we have to choose between legless or legs. So if you have legs, that means they're out over somewhere in your camp area. So it does create other challenges for me. So if there's a legless option, that's what I'm going with. Next, I have to choose between a motorized or a manual. So the manual would mean that I have to have some sort of crank stored someplace inside, pull that out, connect it up, crank it out, crank it back in, that sort of thing. And while that's fine, I don't mind doing that. It would be my preference to have a motorized version where you just push the button and it comes out. So if we have to choose between manual or motorized, we're going with motorized. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have to work with so far. So the selections are legless, motorized, side mount. Those are the three requirements. So let's figure out which manufacturer can give us these options. Now, I've spent a lot more time than I'm willing to say, it's about 2 hours, looking for an awning for our Ram ProMaster super high roof. And I'm not going to bore you with all of those details. You're welcome. I'm just going to cut right to the chase. It comes down to two. So the two that we came up with that satisfies all of the requirements would be either the Fiamma F45 Eagle or the Nomadic Innovations A2. So let's take a look at Fiamma first. Now the Fiamma F45 Eagle is the one that is legless and also motorized. But the big drawback here is it only comes in polar white. So the Moose van is a ceramic gray color. Nowhere on that van is white. Could I paint it? Could I do other things like that? I guess so, but maybe there's another option. Let's look at Nomadic Innovations. So this one has everything. It's legless, motorized, and it comes in a color that works for our van, black and stainless steel. I think it looks really cool. I just can't figure out how this is going to mount to the side of the van. But I couldn't find Nomadic Innovations in the phone book, and this phone's been out of order for years. All right, that's enough of that. Their contact phone number is on the website. Just go to nomadicinnovations.com, contact, scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll find it here. So let me go ahead and make this phone call. Yeah, hi, this is Jim. I was interested in the A2 awning, and I want to know if you make a bracket for the Ram ProMaster super high roof to mount it on the side. No. Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay, yep. I'm ready. So it turns out Nomadic Innovations does not make a bracket for the awning to fit onto our van. The problem is it's primarily intended for a flat wall surface or a roof rack. It's not intended to side mount on any van, let alone a super high roof ProMaster. The person I talked to was very nice and helpful. Her name was Mary, and she's been with the company a very long time. She said I should give somebody named Bruce a call. He has a custom fabrication shop in Colorado, and he makes brackets that could work for this specific awning for our van. So I'm going to get on that right now. All right, we found the website. I do have a phone number up top here. So let me go ahead and give that a call. Hello, my name is Jim, and I'm calling with a question about custom brackets for an awning. Yeah, the awning is the Nomadic Cooling A2. It's the motorized legless. Yeah, that's the one. And yep, the van is the new 2024 Ram ProMaster 159 extended super high roof. Yep, so it would be the 13-foot awning. Yep. Okay, you don't. All right. So this would be for the side mount, not necessarily a roof rack or something else. Still no. Okay. All right. Do you have any suggestions? Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a great plan. Yeah, I'll talk to you soon. Yep. Bye. So it turns out Bruce doesn't have these brackets, but he can custom fabricate them. The only catch is he doesn't have a Ram ProMaster super high roof to use as a template. So what he's going to do is he's going to find one locally. He's in Sedalia, Colorado, which is just south of Denver, and he's going to hopefully over the next 4 to 6 weeks make a template and give us a call back. All right, it's mid-April and this just arrived. So it came on a large truck and I was able to drag it in here. Yeah, that was not pretty, so I'm glad I didn't videotape that. But I got it in and I cut it open and I want to take a look at it. Come on in. Okay, so it did come with a number of hardware pieces. So it came with these brackets, it came with this hardware, and I don't really know what this is, but hopefully we'll figure that out. And here are the brackets. You can see they were designed to fit flat on a surface. And looks like this part here slides in, and then there's some screws to tighten up right there. Okay, so there are a total of 4 of those. All right, well, it's been about a month since I last talked to Bruce, so maybe I should give him a call. Hey Bruce, it's Jim with the super high roof. Yeah, that's right. Any luck getting access to a van to make a template? No. Okay. All right. Have you tried the local dealerships? Yeah. Yeah, I figured you did. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll check in with you in a few more weeks and we'll see how it goes. All right. Thanks, Bruce. Yep. Hey, Bruce. Jim again with the super high roof. Yeah, I figured. So, hey, this is what we have planned. So Susan and I are planning a trip to Colorado here at the end of the month. And we thought if we can plan it correctly, we'll just stop by and see you at your shop. And then you could use our van as the template. How's that sound? Yeah, of course. Yep. Okay, yeah, I'll call you as we get closer to the date and we'll figure out what time and all the details. Fantastic. All right, see you then. Bye. So that's the best we could come up with. I know Bruce has been trying to find the van locally. He's called multiple dealerships. He's asked around. He had a friend close enough by who was going to help him out with that and ended up not being able to. Long story short, I think we can still pull this off. So you heard the plan. We're going to drive from Ohio to Colorado, which we do 4 or 5 times a year anyway. And he's just a little south of Denver. Now we always go through Denver to get to our condo, which is up in Silverthorne. So I think if we plan it correctly, we can just drop down there south of Denver and meet up with Bruce. I don't know how long it'll even take. I'm hoping an hour or less. And then we can get back up to our condo before dinner time. So that's the plan. It's the end of May, and we just completed our journey from Ohio all the way out to Sedalia, Colorado, which is south of Denver. And we met up with Bruce. He made the templates and he had the brackets ready in 4 days. Now, it might have been 2 days or even 3 days later, but we had planned to come back through on the 4th day because we had reservations at Casa Bonita, the craziest and most incredible Mexican restaurant in the world. If you want more details on the brackets, see our video with Bruce. The link is in the description. So we got the brackets and we made it to Casa Bonita in time for our reservation. We saw the cliff divers, the sorcerer's row, puppet show, went to the shooting gallery, went through the caves, got our selfie with Cartman of South Park, and ultimately wrapped up our trip and journeyed home. All right, it's early June and we just got back from our trip, and I'd love to hop on the awning and get that installed immediately while it's fresh in my mind how it all works. But unfortunately, we've got a lot of property here. We've got a lot of acreage, and the yard projects are not going to wait. Lawn mowing, brush hogging, fixing things, you name it. We've got so many projects to work on. So I'm going to get to the awning as soon as I possibly can. It's just not going to be for a few weeks. I don't mind having a little extra time because I do have some planning to do. First on my list is to figure out the hardware situation. So this is what came with the awning, including this bag of hardware. And these are carriage bolts that are M6 by 50s. These are too long for our application because we are using these custom brackets. It's just going to be too long. What I bought to replace the long carriage bolts are these little carriage bolts. This is a M6 by 20 millimeter, and it goes through here like this and attaches to a plate like that. So you can see much more space to work with. I can use the nuts and the washers that were included in a kit from Nomadic Innovations, just replace the carriage bolts. Next, let's understand what these are. These came from Nomadic Innovations. The intention of this was to act as a large washer or fender washer. We don't need this because this essentially provides the same function. Now we have to figure out the hardware to attach these to the van wall. So all of the holes here that he made are also M6, and he did that on purpose because the M6 is what attaches the awning bracket to this custom bracket. So why not use the same M6 to attach this to the van? So I bought these bolts here. So these are not carriage bolts, these are regular bolts. These are M6 by 20 and M6 by 25. I got a couple different sizes just in case. I also bought washers and additional bag of nuts with nylon inserts. These are also M6. So what about this piece? This will be on the inside of the van. And remember, there'll be a structural member coming across this way. This is the wall. And then this sits up against the wall and up against the bottom of that structural member, and then you riv nut through it, right? So I need to have riv nuts. I have the M6 standard riv nut. You may or may not know this about riv nuts, but because of the fact that they're round, if you apply too much torque, you could actually break them free, which means they start spinning freely in there and then they become useless. So I do have these lock washers that I typically apply at the same time. You just put them on the riv nut like this, and then you install the riv nut. That is not foolproof, but it goes a long way in keeping that exactly where you want it to be. So in addition to the hardware that we acquired for this installation, I also got some liquid gasket maker because when we do put the hole through the skin of the van, I'm going to put some of that gasket maker around each of these holes to make sure it's completely sealed up from the elements. I think that about does it for hardware. Next up is electrical planning. So I'm going back to the instructions that are from the A2 awning, and it's got 3 wires coming out the back. One is for the 12-volt motor. It requires a 10-amp fuse, and then 2 of the other ones are for the LED lights, and those each require a 5-amp fuse. The awning did not come with any switches. They assumed that you're going to pick out your own switch for the lights and the control. But for my setup, I expect the LED lights can run off of either a 12 or 14 gauge wire, and that would be fine. And then the motor, and that would require at least a 10 gauge wire. I also need to try to figure out what type of switch is going to be needed. So light switch is easy, on off, but this control switch, the instructions don't specify what kind of switch that is. Is it a standard on-off and the awning knows when to stop? Or is it a momentary switch where you literally have to stand there and hold the button until it's fully extended or retracts? So I need to contact Nomadic Innovations again and ask for a little tech support on that one. But I have some other questions for them as well. And so as soon as I hear back from them, I'll let you know what's going on. All right, in the 10 gauge wire, this is all I have left. Yeah, that's not going to be enough. To be safe, I'm going to have to order another spool of 10 gauge wire. 14 gauge wire, I have an entire spool. It's brand new, so that will be just fine. I've got plenty of Wago lever nuts, fuses, junction boxes, and other supplies here. So the only thing I need to order is the 10 gauge wire, and so I'm going to get that in the Amazon cart and get it on its way. I heard back from Nomadic Innovations tech support pretty quickly, actually. I'm very impressed. And here's the deal with the switches. The one that controls the motor is a momentary switch. And then I had a couple other questions. One question was, can I put the two LED lights on one switch in the event I wanted to control them, with the one instead of having them independently operated? I don't think I'm going to do that, but I wanted to know if I had that option. The answer to that question, yes, you can actually put both LED lights on the same switch if you want to do that. And the other question I had for them, are the LED lights dimmable? Because that would mean I could get a different type of switch. And the answer to that is no. These are not dimmable LEDs, which is unfortunate these days. I think all LED lights should be dimmable. It shouldn't be that hard. So currently, not dimmable. Well, it's July 18th, 2025, and tomorrow, if everything goes well, is installation day for the awning. So what I've done today in preparation is I've marked the 4 locations on the side of the van where the brackets are going to go. These are the brackets that Bruce from Jerk Engineered Products made for us. Now that we have them marked on the outside, I need to go inside and check to see if I actually have the clearance in and around those areas to put the brackets where we're hoping to put them. So I've spaced them out as best I could. The awning is 13 feet 1 inches long, and on each end, it's marked on the awning itself where to put the first bracket on each side, and they're about 13.5 inches in from each side. So the 2 on the end represent about 13.5 inches in, which leaves a space between them, if you divide into thirds, is approximately 43 inches each. So from here to here, 43 inches, from that one to the next one, 43 inches, and from that one to the end, 43 inches. Now, this doesn't have to be perfect. It can be approximate. If some of these need to move a little bit because of the interior or other issues, that's not a big deal. The most important thing is to get 4 of them on there, spaced out the best you can. I also ran the wiring for both the awning lights and the awning motor. I only have one run for the lights today. I may do a second one later, or I might just leave it on one. I'm not sure yet. But of course, as I normally do, I make labels for each of these in at least 3 different locations. So it's labeled here, it's labeled halfway through, and it's labeled right before it goes into the distribution panel. So the wires are currently run up across here. They go up to the ceiling, across the ceiling, and then down this back wall inside the channel to the distribution panel of the EcoFlow Power Kit. I want to be able to locate these brackets inside the van, and I want to be as accurate as possible. So what I came up with is a magnet. Another reason to use the blue tape, if I put the magnet on here like this, I expect I'll be able to find that inside the van. I did have to remove that T-Tech liner. I'm going to end up having to clean that up later, but this should be right in here. Okay. Right, good. Okay, this is the location of the second bracket back, and as you can see, there's no structure here to be able to put this onto. It has to go like this. So I can't put it there, even though the measurements would indicate to put it there. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to put it here. So I'll put this on the inside, and then I'll go on the outside, locate that, and put the tape in this location instead of its current location, which is just about 6 inches away. So these two are in the optimal positions, at least the best we can do with what we've got to work with, both internally and externally. So I'm going to continue on down the line, get these last two knocked out, and go on to the next steps. And what's the next mystery we have to solve? Well, placement of this bracket on the outside and placement of this on the inside. So again, deploying magnets. I did put one of these on the inside right up against that structural member, and I put magnets around it on 3 sides, and then put these finishing nails here to indicate where that is on the inside. So now we have an idea of where that is. I then took this plate and tried it in different locations to figure out where these holes would land on the inside within that channel. And I found that the best placement for it was here. So at this level is where these holes are. Let me get up there. So it's going to be approximately here. So this magnet lines up with these holes, this magnet lines up with these holes, and this works out really well with this being on the inside because those holes will end up, right in this section here. The way it works out is that the positioning puts the top of this bracket pretty much right here where the bend starts for the roof. So I can't use a bend like that to measure and make sure that I get these straight all the way across the van, but I can use this line here. That's a very distinctive line, and that does carry through all the way across the van. So once we do get this first one placed, then we'll be able to measure this distance, and then we'll be able to get the other ones perfectly in line. So the next thing I want to do is try to mark these holes on the tape so that I can figure out where to drill through. I just made a quick and easy paper template of the bracket, and so I'm going to put that on here, get it lined up best I can, and mark the tape. One of the benefits of using magnets in this installation, besides helping me locate things, is that quite literally it catches a lot of the metal shavings as I drill through the van. This is Matt. He's my #1 son-in-law.
It's yeah. Extraordinary title.
He's my only son-in-law.
it was hard work, I gotta say.
So he's here to help us. He lives about 20 minutes away, and this worked out really well for everything to come together for not only his schedule, my schedule, but the weather. What we've done in pre-work is we've done the holes for this side over here on the front of the awning, which we showed previously. And then we decided, in fact, this is Matt's idea, to do the back one next so that we can actually get that linear connection between them and make sure that it is going to line up correctly. So we've done the back the same as we did the front in terms of the templating that we've seen before with the magnets and the nails, and gone through there. Now it's time for the next steps, which is
using this burring tool.
Or it could be a deburring tool.
Oh yeah, deburring tool. Yeah, it's optional.
We can add the burrs or take it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. And then we'll do the next steps, which would be the cleaning and painting. If we painted the holes and then came and cleaned afterwards, then we might clean off some of the fresh paint. So the next step is to spray paint the holes, but I'm not going to just spray paint here because it'll get everywhere. So the method is to spray paint the paper towel and then just dip the Q-tip into the paint. All right, we got all the holes cut, deburred, cleaned, painted. So while the paint dries, we're taking lunch. So the next step is we're going to install these plates. You can see we've got the holes here from the template on the outside, and we're going to make sure that the plate lines up in such a way so that that comes through correctly when we drill through it. So we're going to put it here, drill up through here, riv nuts into this, and get that installed. So what we discovered is when we installed this bracket, it doesn't fit flat on this part of the van and also this part. So we're gonna have to try to figure out if we bring this down some to sit flat here or we do something else. This is what we came up with. I have some of this flat aluminum stock. It's 2 inches wide, 1/8 inch thick. And I just cut a couple of pieces to try to fill in this gap. So we're gonna put this up in here. So right under that lip. Okay. And now it's not perfect, but that's a much better gap to work with. So I think this is the solution. We're gonna go ahead and put this in place. I'm gonna get it bolted in tight. We're gonna get these set, and then we're gonna drill through them. This doesn't hurt anything in terms of installation. It may even help distribute the load better by having this additional surface area up against the van wall. Okay, we've got our bracket installed on the inside to that upper structural member. So it's basically right here. What you can see is the aluminum that we've got first. So we'll go through the aluminum and then it'll go through the bracket. So to keep that from pushing out, or pushing in, to keep that from pushing in, Matt is in there with a block of wood and he's gonna hold that in place. So the block of wood helps keep him safe. All right, are you ready?
Yep.
And I fully get that we've wasted our time completely deburring these bottom holes and painting them because I just opened them up again. We're gonna have to deburr them and paint all over again. And then my microphone failed, so I'm just gonna do a voiceover here. I added the liquid gasket on here and carefully put it in place. Got the bolts put through, and Matt on the inside put on the large fender washers and the nylock nuts and tighten it all down. And there we have one bracket completely installed. Quick side note on the use of templates. Your first hole that you drill is the only one you should trust. After you drill this hole, you should put the template back up and make sure that the other holes, or at least the next hole over, is in the correct position. The blue tape we used does help quite a bit in reducing the amount of travel of the drill bit and keeping it straight in, but it's not perfect, and the hole itself could end up off just slightly. So do yourself a favor, and after you've drilled that first hole, just use a template and double check again to make sure that the next one is in the right place. And do that again for the third and fourth. All right, this one is complete. Here's what it looks like on the back side. You'll see that up top, there's a little bit of a gap. That riv nut on the left side didn't seat quite right, so it's a little bit off, but it'll be fine. And the next idea we had to increase the safety even more is that instead of having Matt hold the block of wood, we've actually brought in our adjustable support poles, and that's going to work out much better for everyone. I wasn't able to get the riv nut tool into this location properly, so in places like this, we just drilled it out and put in a standard bolt and nut. And let me show you where the hardware from the top of the bracket ends up here in this channel. See how low that is in there? That's why the placement of the bracket where we put them is the optimal placement. You can't go any lower and you can't go any higher. Okay, after a long day, much longer than we thought it was going to be, all 4 brackets are now up and in place, and I think they look pretty good. So the next step, heavy lifting. Let's do it. No more playing around. Now we're gonna twist it this way. Yep. Ready? Okay. And then I'm just gonna put mine on the ladder, and then you have to lift yours. Okay, I've got mine stable. Oh, that does not feel good. I'll let you get up to the top first, because each step that we take up, you're pushing me backwards. So I'm letting you push that, and now don't hold the thing tight because it's going to be pushing backwards. Gotcha. Right? All right. Ready? One more. Okay, and then it's gonna come my way a little bit. Whoa, if you can just go up.
Is it on?
I have no idea.
Mine feels like it's on-ish.
Okay, I'm wiggling it. It seems okay.
I got like I don't know, 1.5 foot past on my bracket.
Okay, you're gonna start going my way.
Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna let go and then take a step back and see where it's at.
It's like hanging a TV on a wall. I'm so nervous.
I would like for the back part here to line up a little bit more with this. A little more, another 3/4 inch. Okay. I think that's it.
Okay.
Now, how is it sitting? It looks like it's sitting perfectly straight up, because it needs to be sitting vertically.
Oh yeah.
So it looks like it's vertical.
Yeah, 90 degrees to the ground basically.
Yep.
I agree.
And I don't see any buckle. From the initial visual inspection, everything looks perfect. So I'm going to tighten up the brackets that go on the bottom, and then we'll connect the electrical. And with any luck, we have an awning. So if you want to do this, I'll do electrical.
Okay.
So each of those little things should just slide underneath the bracket.
Uh-huh.
And
Tighten her down.
yep, and then you tighten them down.
All right.
Okay, that's the last one.
Yes, sir.
And I finished the electrical for the awning motor only. I didn't do the lights. Are you ready? Is it gonna work? Is it gonna not work? Is it gonna fall off the roof? Is it gonna crash down on me? Is it gonna buckle? I don't know what's gonna happen. I can't, let's just do it. Let's just do it. So far, perfect. It takes about 1 minute and 20 seconds for it to fully extend, so I'm not gonna make you wait through all that. I'm gonna speed this up. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this rolling. Yep, and it stopped, so I released the button. Nice. This is really awesome. And we may end up adjusting it so it's a little bit higher here, but still fantastic. While it was coming out, I was watching all of the brackets and the van metal to make sure we didn't have any buckling or any other issues, and it's absolutely solid. Nothing moved on the bracket side. The only movement was the awning coming out. And again, so very happy with this. All right, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for sticking with us all the way to the end. I know this was a long one. It was a long journey for me. It started back in March of this year, and it's now July 19th,
Something like that.
give or take. So a lot of time and effort went into just this simple awning install. But nothing is ever simple in DIY or custom van building. It always takes so much longer than anyone ever thinks it's gonna. And especially if you're the first person doing it or doing it yourself for the first time, it's tough. Thank goodness I had Matt here to help me out. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your help.
Absolutely.
And hopefully I can bring Matt in more often to help out on little projects here and there.
It was fun. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna button all this up. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.